The next one is called NoteTaker, and it's a little more, takes a little more than this public repo option. So what this does is this allows you to create an instrument that you can just essentially use for notes, keeping track of things. And what it does is it turns one field into a sort of like a rolling note taker. And it takes three options. So let me go to the designer here. So there's three things that you need for this note taker example. You need a timestamp, you need a storage field, and then you need the input field. So let me show you, let me go to the external modules. I'm not sure if this has any configuration. Let me check. Yeah, so you basically just have to, if there's any arms, like if you have a specific arm or event, you would want to put that here, and then you just tell it which field is going to be your storage field, which field is going to be your input field, and which field is going to be your timestamp. And then you get the option of adding a delimiter and, you know, logging. And so you could have multiple note taker fields. You would just have to click this plus sign and add the next batch of fields for that instance of note taker. So let me cancel this and let me show you what the note taker looks like, and that might help give you a better picture. So here is the note taker. This is how it displays. And so if I type and I save it, it automatically adds this note to the top. And I have it set to add a delimiter, so it adds this in between. So between each note, it would add, and so it has me as the username, it has the timestamp, and then it has the input that I'm putting in. And then you can also change this text, I believe, in like the action tag. So this is what the note taker does. And so you would go into the design, and these two fields are hidden. So the note timestamp is hidden. Basically what this does is this is just a timestamp to give REDCap the value when the note was taken. And you don't have to have now or anything. The only thing that you have to put in is hidden, and REDCap, the module, does everything for you. And then the storage field, even though it's hidden, I think it uses it uses piping to pull it into the input field. So really all you're seeing is this field down here. And it's kind of weird to think about. But basically what it's doing is you're entering the note down here. When you save it, it's adding it to this field here and then displaying it as piped text here above the input. So when you look at it, all you see is the input and then the notes. So you could actually separate this into a different field if you wanted, and have your input as one field and then have the, you know, rolling notes as another field. And then I have placeholder text here. So this is where you would enter your whatever text to, you know, give them the instructions on how to use this note taker module.
Can more than one person take notes at the same time in a record?
No. I don't know.
No, you get that error message at the top that somebody is already in the record, and you'll have to wait for them to get out.
Okay, so it does prevent it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so this, I mean, you would have, so if we go back to the record status dashboard and I open this up, you kind of have these notes here. If you go to history, you'll see all this as, you know, because basically what you're doing is you're just changing the input. You're changing the value of this field here. And so it is grabbing all that in the history, but you'd have to go to the history to look at it. So this is nice that you get to see it all at once. And if you had, your input at the top and just had it, this is read only, you could just see all the notes together.
Let me clarify that just a minute, Colleen. You could use the notes simultaneously if you were in a different record. You just couldn't use two people can't use the same notes field in the same record at the same time. That's the only limitation.
Got it. And this is all internal. This isn't something that would be on a survey, right?
Well, yeah,
This
I'm
could be,
guessing.
this could be on a survey. So, I mean, if you had an instrument or a survey where somebody has to like report something on a daily basis and they just open up the survey, or they have a survey link that they go to, to open up that instance of the survey, you could use it that way, and they could just go in and type in like whatever the notes are for that day.
All right. I may have questions later. Warning.
No problem. Does anybody else have any questions on like how to set this up or any of that?
So, Colleen, that would be kind of cool for the project that we're working on. If like you set up the notes field and then you said, you tracked that you sent out the form for them to reschedule their appointment and things like that.
Could even use it in like our ticketing system if more than one of us is in it, not in it, but like in the same record, but all four of us use the ticketing system. So instead of just having like a comments field, you could have a note field, and that way we don't have to be like, reset password, CK did it or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Because I always put the date and then I put my initials after it.
I know, but that would save you all of that, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And there is it says here there's a zip instrument available, and when I click on it, it messes up. But if you go to the GitHub page, I think there's a way to navigate it, because that's how I designed this. And let me go to the external modules here and see if it's got the GitHub page in the documentation. No. I'll have to look, because there was the GitHub page for this, and it does take you to a zip instrument as part of the GitHub page, but for some reason their link here isn't working. It might be in the REDCap. Let me look at the REDCap external modules in the control panel real quick. Because sometimes in the control panel, their documentation gives you the GitHub page. But when you install the module, it gives you the documentation that they've submitted for the REDCap module. If that makes sense.
Now this looks neat.
Yeah, it seems like it would have some, pretty good practical applications.
Well, I think if more than one person's going to be doing something, it's easier to track it, and you know who did what, and it automatically timestamps it. You don't have to go into logging.
Yeah. So let's see, they had, let's see if they still have it in here. Yeah, so it's this. If you go to the, I can put it in the chat. If you go to the GitHub page, basically the GitHub page is the same as the configuration, but the zip instrument link is different. It takes you to this NoteTaker example form.zip, and then you would just download it. And then you would just use the
Can't you just take that zip file and go to your
yeah,
designer
Yeah, I just extracted it because I wanted to make sure that
Oh.
it was
Yeah,
a CSV.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so this is exactly what it is. So if you want to use it, you would get it from the GitHub. I don't know why the link, because the documentation is identical to what it is on GitHub. I don't know why the link is different. They probably have it set up with like a like a root. Instead of having it hard coded, they probably have, you know, the relative URL. So now that it's on REDCap's external modules, it's just putting this NoteTaker example form.zip at the end of the, you know,
Right,
the generated URL.
yeah, I'm sure you're right. Any questions?